Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago Fire deaths in order. Every major character who has died in the show. Chicago Fire puts characters in danger on a weekly basis. We see firefighters and medics putting their lives on the line to protect others. Unfortunately, it doesn't always end well. There have been several deaths over the course of the show's 13 seasons, some of which we are still reeling from. In an effort to celebrate, grieve, and simply remember the Chicago Fire characters who have fallen, we decided to compile a list of every major death that has occurred, from the pilot to the present. It gets a little bleak, but such are the risks of the job. Our one rule is that the character in question had to have worked as a firefighter/medic. Andy Darden, Corey Sorensen, we hardly knew ye. The character was set up as a friend of both Matt Casey, Jesse Spencer, and Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney. But he died in a fire during the pilot. It was shock to both men and eventually laid the foundation for Casey and Severide to get close on the job. Darden's impact is still being felt today. Casey is now the legal guardian of both of his sons, and they live together in Oregon. It's a shame we didn't get to know him better, but we're glad we knew him at all. Rebecca Jones, Daisy Betts, was poised to be a huge part of Chicago Fire when she joined in Season 2. She quickly struck up a friendship with Gabriella Dawson, Monica Raymond, and proved to be solid in the field. Unfortunately, personal demons got the best of her. Jones did not make it out of Season 2. She took her own life in the episode, Until Your Feet Leave the Ground, and left a note for her friend Dawson. It has been the only instance of a 51 character taking their own life, and it remains just as tragic when you watch it today. This one is a bit tricky. Leslie Shea, Lauren German, responded to a fire in an apartment building in the Season 2 finale. The roof collapsed for Shea inside, and a beam struck her head, killing her instantly. Shea was a fan-favorite character, which made this arguably the most upsetting death in fire history up to this point. The tricky part comes down to labeling. Shea's death occurred in the Season 2 finale, but it wasn't confirmed until the Season 3 premiere, a flashback episode that also features Darden. Both qualify with regard to being Shea's death episode, but we ultimately went with the former. You'll notice the deaths become less frequent as the show goes on. Good thing too, because we would run out of characters otherwise. Danny Borelli, Andy Aarons, was a peripheral character in the sense that we only knew him because of his brother, Jimmy, Stephen R. McQueen, but he was still a Chicago firefighter, so he makes the cut here. Danny was taken out in the Season 4 episode, where the collapse started. The firefighter was crushed by crumbling debris, and despite the efforts of his little brother to save him, it was too late. He was honored in the following episode, Superhero. Benny Severide, Treat Williams, was a retired arson investigator and the father of Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney. His dynamic with his son was never the smoothest, but Kelly still felt the emotional wallop of Benny's death when it occurred in the Season 7 episode, All the Proof. Benny died off-screen, though he did appear in the episode prior, A Volatile Mixture. Kelly and his half-sister bonded over the loss, and the former still waxes poetic about his old man whenever he gets the chance. The most famous or infamous death in Chicago Fire history. We all remember where we were when Otis, Yuri Sardarov, died after suffering massive injuries in a mattress factory fire. His best friend, Joe Cruz, Joe Minoso, was able to drag him to safety and get him hospitalized, but it was too late. Otis perished in the hospital, with Cruz at his side. It really is one of the most heartbreaking moments in the entire show. Otis is so beloved though that he is still being referenced by the characters today. He left a heck of a legacy behind. Everybody seemed safe between Seasons 8 and 11. Then, tragedy struck again. Chief Evan Hawkins, Jimmy Nicholas, the beloved boyfriend of Violet McCalmy, Hanako Greensmith, rushed into a burning building to save someone else. He suffered mortal injuries in the process though, and died in Violet's arms outside of the building. It wasn't confirmed that Hawkins had died until the following episode, but the devastation on Violet's face all but spelled it out. A brutal way to go. Andy Darden, Season 1, Episode 1. The tragedy that started it all. Firefighter Andy Darden's death in a harrowing blaze not only fractured Firehouse 51, but set the stage for one of the most intense rivalries in the show's history. His loss deeply affected his best friend, Casey, and left Severide carrying the guilt of pushing Darden too hard. His widow, Heather, and their children became a lasting reminder of the price of bravery. Hallie Thomas, Season 1, Episode 22. Casey's on-again, off-again fiancée, Dr. Hallie Thomas, was tragically murdered when she uncovered a drug ring operating out of her clinic. The fire that consumed the clinic was no accident. Hallie was attacked before the flames took her. Casey was left devastated, his grief adding another layer to his already complicated world at Firehouse 51. Shea, Leslie Elizabeth Shea, Season 3, Episode 1. One of the most heartbreaking deaths in Chicago fire history, Shea's demise came when an explosion rocked a burning building. As one of the original members of Firehouse 51, Shea was beloved by all, especially Dawson and Severide. Her absence left a gaping hole, particularly in Severide's heart, as he struggled with the loss of his best friend. The firehouse dedicated Ambulance 61 in her honor, ensuring her legacy lived on. Rebecca Jones, Season 2, Episode 18. Jones fought against the odds to become a firefighter, but personal demons took their toll. When she was reassigned to an office job, she couldn't cope with the disappointment. Her tragic suicide rocked Firehouse 51, leaving Dawson racked with guilt over their complicated friendship. Chief Bowden, ever the father figure, mourned her deeply, realizing the struggles she had hidden from the world. Henry Mills, off-screen, mentioned in Season 3. Henry Mills, the father of firefighter Peter Mills, was once a proud firefighter at Firehouse 51 before an injury forced him into retirement. His death was mentioned in later seasons, adding to the emotional weight that Peter carried as he tried to live up to his father's legacy. Jimmy Borelli's brother, Season 5, Episode 1. Though not a member of Firehouse 51, Borelli's older brother was a firefighter who died in the line of duty. His death set Jimmy on a path of vengeance, causing tension between him and Chief Bowden. Ultimately, Jimmy himself was gravely injured in a later call, leading to his departure from the show. Danny Borelli, Season 5, Episode 1. Jimmy Borelli's firefighter brother Danny died in a warehouse fire due to a building collapse. His death fueled Jimmy's anger, leading to a reckless pursuit of heroism that ultimately cost him his own future as a firefighter when he suffered severe burns in a later fire. Anna Turner, Season 5, Episode 21. Severide finally found love again with Anna Turner, but their happiness was short-lived. Anna suffered from leukemia, and despite a promising bone marrow transplant from Severide, complications arose, and she passed away. Severide, devastated by yet another loss, spiraled into grief, questioning his purpose at Firehouse 51 and in life. Jason Cannell's crew, Season 5, Episode 22. Jason Cannell's team was killed in a tragic fire that left him as the lone survivor. Though not directly tied to Firehouse 51, this loss echoed throughout the department, reminding everyone of the dangers they face daily. Cannell's grief and survivor's guilt led to a heartfelt arc within the show. Brian Otis Zvonsick, Season 8, Episode 1. One of the most painful and shocking losses in Chicago fire history, Otis' death devastated fans and Firehouse 51 alike. A boiler explosion during a mattress factory fire left him gravely injured, and his final words, spoken in Russian to Cruz, were revealed to mean, "Brother, I will be with you always." Cruz was especially shaken, struggling for seasons to come with the loss of his best friend. Firehouse 51 honored Otis by dedicating a memorial to him outside the firehouse. Chief Evan Hawkins, Season 11, Episode 3. Hawkins had just found happiness with Violet Mikami when he was tragically killed in a building collapse while saving a civilian. His death left Violet heartbroken, struggling to move on. Firehouse 51 mourned the loss of a dedicated leader, knowing that his heroism cost him everything. Jared Lennox, Season 11, Episode 10. While not a main character, Jared Lennox was a firefighter whose tragic death reminded Firehouse 51 of the constant danger they face. His passing was a sobering moment, reinforcing the ever-present risks of the job.